Say that I'm very grateful to be a member of the GCOL, the Greater Church of Lucifer. I want to go ahead and talk about a lot of things in my mind right now, and I want to go ahead and excuse myself for a minute. It's my first time being here. It's as a spokesperson, so I may be a slight nervous, as you can see. I wanted to say, and I am a woman. I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a sister, I am a daughter, etc. And I just want to say that the GCOL has made great changes in my life. My experience in GCOL can be, I finally found who I really am. I talk to myself all the time, and it has helped me a lot to discover things that I didn't even know that I had power to do. For instance, taking care of my kids, being a good wife, it's all in you. Everybody knows good and bad. I try to do my best as I can of being, the perfect mom, the perfect wife. And the reason why I'm talking a lot about, my role as a housewife is because it's very important that, I'm just like anybody. I'm just a normal woman. And I can just say that in my past life, I went through a big Christian phase. I always had this guilt inside of me that, I always thought, by raising my children, how to raise my children. I felt such great guiltness and everything. I would see people in disgust because they were not Christians. I would judge others. I would think I was just so, beyond perfect or whatever, just because I followed Christianity. Once I found out about the GCO, which was last year, I started kind of going, I was a little bit more out of Christianity, you can say, and I just wanted to go ahead and discover more stuff. But when I found out the GCOL, I finally had, the power in me to know who I was and know what I wanted to be for the, the rest of my life as a mother, as a wife. I talk to myself a lot because I can just say that, my days are pretty much kind of hard sometimes. Raising my children, they have free will and whatnot. They hear me and my husband talk about Lucifer and that, God is not real and this and that. So they go off and they tell people, God isn't real or stuff like that. And, Lucifer, we are Lucifer. And then people look at me and they're like, what are you like? What kind of teachings are you doing to your children? I just want to go ahead and, raise my children like normal kids, as you can see. I don't want to put anything in them. They have their free will and whatnot, but I would try my best, me and my husband, to raise them on the left-hand path. Of course, it's their free will. Once they're 16, they want to go ahead and be whatever they want to be. That's them. Another thing I want to talk about is, again, with my Christianity and whatnot, I used to be very crazy into the religion. So I would not even allow my daughter to watch, cartoons or anything like that. And it's stuff like that. And now that I'm in the GCOL as a member, I can say that stuff that I have behind my head, it's gone now. Now I'm a free person. I make my rules. I know what's good and bad. I say what I want to say. And, if you go ahead and kill somebody, if you go ahead and do some wrong, like stealing or something, there's going to be consequences. Those consequences are either you're going to go to jail or, stuff like that. And that's my focus on telling my kids, if you do something wrong, there's going to be consequences. You're going to have to deal with those problems. I don't want to go ahead and tell them, oh, you know what, you did this and that, you're going to hell, that's just plain wrong. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, you can say I'm not that spiritual, but I have a little theistic side. And again, with the GCOL has helped me, reach out discoveries that I never thought I would possibly reach. I don't know what else to talk about. I just wanted to talk about how me as a normal woman, you know, I'm a member of the GCOL, but I keep saying I'm a member of the GCOL. That's fine, that's what I am. I just want to tell you, and everybody who's watching this at this very moment, you have the power in yourself. Okay? Nobody is going to do anything for you. It's all in you. You know what's good, you know what's bad. It's just, if you want to go ahead and do something, go ahead and do it. Don't waste your time. You know, like, again, in my Christianity, I would get down on my knees and pray to some, you know, when in the back of my head now, if there's a problem, what I have to do is just go in and solve it. And I can say that's pretty much all I have to say. And I want to thank you for your time. Once again, my name is Naomi. You can find me on Facebook. Again, me and my husband, we're going to have the leadership in Spanish. So, si tienen algunas preguntas, otra vez, mi nombre es Naomi y mi esposo se llama Benny. Nos pueden contactar en el Facebook. Y that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. I know the weather is a little troublesome, but you guys made it, and welcome to all of you that are watching. Tonight I'm going to talk about two specific things. The first is the difference between left-hand path and right-hand path, and then I'm going to discuss a little on the origins in mythology, religion, and history of Lucifer and the significance of such. First, I'm going to let you know a little news. We're looking for May 15th as being the publishing date for ES Forus, which will be our philosophy introduction to Luciferianism. This work is completely, in many ways, centered in the philosophy, the ideology, and developing the spirituality without a ritualistic setting. So it's purely on the self, mind, and developing that accordingly. The foundation, if you will, of what Luciferianism is. And that work it was authored by myself, Jacob contributed, and Jeremy. All of us are working heavily to getting this out, and Hope has contributed as well. So I think you'll all find it to be a very interesting read. So first I'm going to discuss the differences between left-hand path and right-hand path. A lot of people have different ideas about what that is, and I'd like to offer some clarification. Basically, in the left-hand path, individualism is paramount. It is the path of isolating the mind from the herd. It's thinking different, thinking unto yourself in your own unique way. Left-hand path is not worshiping a perceived devil or cursing others for whatever reasons that would be in your life. It is about directing and controlling your specific future as you see fit. Right-hand path is essentially a union with a perceived absolute outside of the self. A perceived absolute can be any type of deity. If you perhaps, if some people worship a perceived devil and offer themselves to that, then that is essentially right-hand path. Remember that Lucifer, or the adversary, is a symbol of inner strength. It's not a symbol of supplication or bowing before something else. Any real Luciferian or Satanist will stand up for themselves and recognize that archetype, symbol, whatever it is to them, as a part of themselves. Self-liberation from restrictive beliefs and actively changing the way you perceive and interact with the world. That's important because you have to begin first and think, how do I perceive the world around me? Do my thoughts matter in what happens to me next, in the next few days? Yes. How you interact with the world, how you think first, how you perceive things, opportunities, challenges, all of those things are going to shape what occurs in your future. When you think of it in those terms, that's what it means to be your own God. Because you are taking command of those things that you have power over. You don't control what accidents happen, anything like that, but you can control probably 90% of your encompassing future. And that is how you think. That is the method in which you think. Luciferianism has always been, how can I shape, using various techniques, my future? And then once you have those thoughts of, this is my idea, running with it without letting anything get in your way. That's paramount, because if you doubt yourself, if you allow that doubt to take hold, you will hesitate. And if you hesitate, you will lose. You will find other challenges and other things that make you question yourself even more. So you have to have that balance of understanding what you desire and how you want to get there. Right-hand path is put your faith and trust into something outside of yourself. This does not mean that Luciferians are not spiritual. What I always really encourage people to do is look at spirituality as something that has to begin and end within you. If you take too much from suggestions or things outside of yourself, then you're going to let yourself be shaped by others. Have your guides and those things that inspire you, and then go with those. And through your thoughts, your words, your actions, your results in life, that should build your spirituality. That spirituality is very important because it's not something that anybody can take away from you once you have it. Because you've experienced it, you've validated it. A lot of, you see Christians, and they talk about their faith. Well, Luciferianism isn't a faith in that sense. We don't just believe in something just because it should be. But what we can do is validate who we are, what we've done, based on all those encompassing points. That's a very important part in Luciferianism. Attaining insight, wisdom, and power by refining your psyche in everyday life. It's the mundane experiences and how you react to them and how you think about them. That is what will determine your future and what you have to achieve. Something I talk about in Luciferianism a lot is the daemon, or true will. Crowley called it the holy guardian angel. I'm a deeply spiritual person. However, when I discuss things with the church or in certain philosophy areas of the future books, I won't push that or really expose that to that extent, because I want people to really find their own. And I don't want to be too suggestive on this is a dogma, because my work is not dogmatic in that sense. I never want to impose that on someone else. But I can tell you I have success and experience from what I do. So that's what I try to share. Refining yourself in every day is knowing when you've done something that's achieved greatness for yourself. Knowing when you've screwed up something, and knowing how you're going to apply it in the future. Very important in those areas. So the left-hand path also is about going past what you consider your limits, pushing yourself. And what that means is in a physical sense, in a mental sense, in all of those areas where you constantly test your strengths and improve upon your weaknesses. You don't rely on something else to do it for you. The daemon is one of those things based in the true will. That's a spirituality you develop over a course of a lifetime. And that process, for me, has worked well. For someone who doesn't really invest too much in the ceremonial aspect of magic, then that might not be for them. But first and foremost, it's an archetype and symbol of our potential as people. The second thing I'm going to talk about is briefly the origins of Lucifer. And I'm going to talk about why that's important as a Luciferian. Lucifer comes from many different sources in history throughout 3,000 years, roughly. And I'm not going to go into the Egyptian aspect with Seth, Horus, Amun-Ra, any of those. I'm going to speak specifically with the Greco-Roman, Hellenistic, and Syrian aspects of Lucifer, which in turn shaped the Roman view. Ashtar the rebel, or Ashtar the strong, was a god of Canaan who was so old that he went from being a high up deity in their pantheon to being basically the lord of the earth under Baal. He was mentioned as the shining rebel, basically, in the translation, 800 years before Isaiah 14, which that's the one that says Halil ben Shahar, the one about falling, and a lot of people attribute it to the Babylonians or something like that, but it's actually associated with the Tyrian god Ashtar. Ashtar is associated with the planet Venus. Why is Venus important? Obviously, we perceive it now as a goddess. There's a feminine aspect and a male. Ashtar was a war god and associated with also love as well. So there's a balance. For those keen students of the Old Testament, they'll see Chemosh, one of the enemies of Yahweh in the Hebrews. One of his titles was Ashtar. They are one and the same. Venus is both the morning and evening star. And that represents, that's the shining star in the morning, and the one that shines during the evening. Represents, for Luciferians, knowing your inner potential and the balance between destructive and creative qualities. The darkness for us is something that nourishes and something to be explored and used just as nature uses it within that balanced perspective. The second aspect, Lucifer, Eos and Hesperus, morning and evening star. Roman god, not associated with anything sinister, but has that associations with the planet Venus, of course. And then you have Isaiah 14, which is the poem about Lucifer the Fallen. That was taken from the original Canaan version. The Old Testament Satan. He was originally, the translation means enemy. It was a myth associated with it. He was basically a strong-armed person of Yahweh who did his whatever he wanted, punished and tested his followers. When the New Testament occurred, Satan, along with Belial and Mastimoth, all associated with each other, became a rebel angel, basically, in the pantheon of Yahweh. We hear in the New Testament about Satan falling like lightning from the heavens. And then you have Beelzebub, who was originally a Canaan god of divination, and magic, being the lord of demons. The first mention of Lucifer with Satan is in a writing called Against Marcion, which was roughly 170 to 220 AD. That's a while after the supposed death of Jesus. And then going into the 12th century AD, we have in Kabbalism Samael, the patron spirit of Rome. Samael is associated with the planet Mars. There's a warlike aspect. And then we find a development of Lilith as a queen of demons. Another talk I'll have another time will encompass the various aspects of Lilith and how those relate to the adversary. And then one part that we have is Apollo. Now, Apollo was the Greek god of music, arts, and divination. But Apollo originally was a terrifying deity for the Greeks. He could send plague, and these are all symbolic stories, plague, death, but also cured and helped others. He had a balanced aspect. He dwelt or sat upon a throne basically in Ompalos, which is the navel within the earth where he would receive his messages for others. But in the New Testament, he's known as Apollyon, who is the king of the bottomless pit. He's become demonic. Apollo is soon made into and assimilated with Helios, the god of the sun. Helios, during the Roman period, appears with the crowned rays upon his head, and Helios is known as Oriens. Oriens, for those who know Abramelin, the book of Abramelin, and some Jewish demonology, Oriens is the Eastern demon king. We see in many of the grimoire traditions. What is the purpose of all this? Well, how does this have any meaning within Luciferianism? There are traits within Luciferianism, within the symbol of the adversary, that I consider to be strong, positive, and fierce traits that we as humans have all within us to varying degrees. You have strength of will. You have the thirst for knowledge and the thirst for power. Whatever that is within your life, to whatever degree, but it's there. Also, not to accept something at face value, to ask questions, and to validate those things in your life. Those are symbols of the adversary, and that's the Luciferian concept. It's more than just an ideology or a philosophy. It's a spiritual experience within yourself as you go through it. I'm not up here asking you to believe in any of this is literal. You're going to take it how you want and use it in your own private mythology. And that's how it should be. So, as you go away tonight, think as Luciferians, what am I doing in my life? How am I reacting with other people? What are my goals? Narrow them down and then manifest that. Keep documents of it, how you do things. All of these things matter because this will build that spirituality. If magic is your interest, then approach it and don't worry about following rules within that structure. Take something that inspires you and unleash it upon your possibility in life. That means if you have any of my books or another author's books, take what works for you and apply it, and then reap the reward of results. And that will validate what I'm telling you now. So thank you very much.
I was done.
That will conclude this evening with GCOO Houston Local Chapter. Thank you everybody for taking the time to come out. So that'll be it. Thank you.